So, it's been quite a long time since I posted the last speedrun to level 400 video. But if you were a real one, you would have known that I said something at the end of that video that would be quite relevant for this video.
So yeah, I do recommend this. I'm going to be using this to get into my next money-making method, which I'll be talking about in the next video.
So what is this money-making method that I made you wait 4 months to see? You know, I still can't answer that question. At the time of making this video, I planned on getting into pest farming, which at the time made a bunch of money, however, took a bunch of hours to get into. So, I quit. I quit for 4 months. However, I came back to this profile, decided to quit again. So, I deleted the profile, and then I decided to start a new profile. Wow, how original. ZJ2 starts his 5th profile for the billionth time. So I joined an IRL friend and I decided to start grinding. But it led me to a interesting money-making method that I'll be talking about in this video. So to start the profile off, I had nothing. However, on my previous profile, I kept all of my items. Now, I did research on this to make sure I wouldn't get banned, and I read this forum post that says as long as you delete the profile and transfer the items, it's okay. So starting the profile, I had about 100 million coins, and with these coins I was attempting to find something to make money with so I can start getting into mining.
Our plan was very simple. Rush mining.
So at the time there was a new update called the Backwater Bayou, and at this point it's like 4 months old, and there was a bunch of cool items that came from this, such as the talismans, the new rod system with all the hooks, lines, and sinkers, and a bunch of new NPCs and ways to get Skyblock XP. However, when I went into the shop, I noticed something pretty interesting. But before you all leech off of me and my money-making potential, I want you to know that this video is brought to you by absolutely no one except the subscribe button. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I still have an ongoing giveaway from the last video. My last video hits 100 likes. I'm going to give away a rank upgrade, so make sure to go back and watch the other video. Get that one to 100 likes, and maybe you'll win a rank giveaway. These videos really do take a long time to make, surprisingly, even though they're really short. Like, this video is probably going to be like 5 minutes long. Please leave a like and subscribe. It would really help me out. And let's get back to the video. Alright, so what we were talking about earlier is how if you go to Junker Joel, there's a bunch of cool different items that you can craft, and a lot of these items have a raw craft cost value that are way lower than the lowest bin. For example, like this backwater belt only costs 149,000 coins, or the gloves costs the same thing, but it sells for 1 million, or it sells for 500k. However, what I had left on earlier was the junk artifact, which it just dissipated the raw craft cost, but if you saw it very slightly, the raw craft cost was only 1.4 mil for a 2.3 million coin item. Hold on a second, that's like 1.1 mil profit per. So I want to show you pretty much what I would do on a profile. So with the 100 million coins, I figured out that you could make these junk artifacts. So I would buy all the items required to make about 12 at a time. So I would go onto the bazaar, you go to fishes, you go to Backwater Bayou, and then you have the 3 items that are used to do this money-making method. So yes, this is a normal profile only money-making method. You cannot do this on Iron Man because you can't sell anything on the AH. So I apologize, Iron Man players. I have plenty of other money-making methods that I'm probably going to be doing on this profile, so just be wary and look out for those. So it costs 32 rusty coins for the junk talisman, and then it costs 4 busted belt buckles for the ring, and then just an old leather boot for the artifact. So what you would do is you would go onto the bazaar. First, you would type 32 times 12, because that's how many you would be buying, which means you would need 384 old leather boots. So you go to the Backwater Bayou, you buy 384. Then you go to the busted belt buckle, and then you go 4 times 12, which means you would need 48 of the busted belt buckles, and then you would do the same thing for the old leather boot, but it's 12 because you only need 1. And you can see that the buy crafts is way cheaper if you buy one of these. Like, this is 8k difference, this is like 60k difference, and then this is like 60k difference as well. So this is an insta buy method, and you still make about 900k coins regardless if you insta buy, but you would make up to 1.1 million per buy offer. However, buy offer is very competitive and I don't recommend it, so I pretty much skipped that whole part. So after you buy your 12 junk artifacts, you are not going to list all 12 of them, because if you list all 12 of them, you're going to completely kill the market. What I would like to do is I would put 4 on the auction house for the lowest bin price minus 1 coin, and usually they will all sell. Sometimes it gets pretty competitive, and I'm going to show you an example of me putting 4 on the auction house and them all selling. Okay, so I just put them all on the auction house, and roughly it costed me, I'm going to round up here just to make it a little bit easier. So it costed me 2.4, then 2.3, so that's puts me up to 4.7, and that puts me up to about 5.9, and I put them up for 2.29. So 2.29 times 4 is 9.6. I can't even remember the math. I had to go back and check the recording. I checked the recording and it costed 5.7 to make all the mats, and it made 9.1 million. So 9.1 minus 5.7 is a profit of 3.4 for roughly 4 of them. So that's about almost 850k per. The insta-buy is a little expensive right now, but I also wanted to show you all of them sold. And it took about 7 minutes. So you're making 3.4 mil in 7 minutes. There's 8.5 segments of 7 in an hour. If you multiply that by 3.4, then you get roughly 28.9 mil an hour just by selling junk artifacts at the price and the time that it took to put them up. And that's not even the greatest part, is that you can put all of these up on the auction house and then go do other money-making methods while they sell. So this is technically a passive money-making method. So if you want to go do another method, and when they sell, you have a bunch of them in your stash, and you can just go, oh, let me put more up. After they all sell, you claim them all, you grab them from your backpack, put them up on the AH, and keep doing whatever you were doing. So you can make 28.9 mil on top of whatever money-making method you were doing in the first place, which is pretty nuts. And it's not just junk artifacts you can do. There's so many other items in here that sell for such a good amount of coins. Like Speedy Line, it has a 1.6 sell, and it's only cost 1.16, so that's 500k right there. The Treasure Hook, that's 19.6 mil profit. Travel Scroll, that's 800k profit. Gloves we talked about, that's like all profit. All of this is profit. So this whole update is like 4 months old, but there's so much profit to be made here. And you could use this logic with any item in the game that has a raw craft cost, because people are always going to be lazy. So that pretty much wraps up everything I had to say for this video, and how I made almost 1.6 billion coins. And actually, if we check my AH statistics, 1,088 junk artifacts in my profile time. Now the prices have varied to very high and very low at some points, so they all have changed quite a bit, and that's not the only money-making method I've done on this profile. If you want to see what I was doing while I was selling junk artifacts along with my other money-making method, let's get this video to 100 likes and I'll show you what I was doing while I was putting up junk artifacts on the auction house. Thank you so much for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.